Welcome to the Woman Who Makes Things Happen show. My name is Agnes van Rhijn, and I'm a holistic business mentor to female professionals who want to reach their full potential in life and in business, but without giving up who they are and what's important to them. I'm also the host and the founder of the Woman Who Makes Things Happen show. And today it's my privilege to be interviewing Renee Smith, who is the founder of the Metamorphosis Inner Circle, a personal development program committed to empowering women to overcome fear and self-defeating beliefs, to confidently live an authentic life and build a profitable business. She inspires more than 25,000 loyal followers and helps thousands of women through her programs, coaching, and speaking. Welcome to the Woman Who Makes Things Happen show, Renee. How are you?
Hello. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Oh, yes. Well, so am I, because I read your story and I thought, oh my God, I need this woman on my show.
Thank you.
This is going to be an inspiring interview, and I completely can imagine why you're doing the work you're doing. So tell us more about you.
Okay, well, first of all, I'm so excited to be here. And when you and I were talking just about your background, we're such kindred spirits. Yeah. I think that so many women, we look at our past and the decisions that we've made and wonder why we're not where we want it to be in life. And we kind of get a little disappointed or down and give up on ourselves. And I think both you and I, our purpose is to help women to understand that it's never too late. You can always reinvent yourself, and that your past does not determine your future or your destiny. And one thing I always like to say is that a lot of times our pain will push us into our purpose, or that our problems have a purpose. And so for me, my background, and I'll just give it to you real quick, is I actually was sentenced to serving 3 years in prison, and it was just a few months after I had gotten married. And when I was headed into prison, I was pregnant with my first child. Wow. And so it was such a devastating experience. But I remember my husband used to always say to me, it's about your perspective and how you see things, and never make a permanent decision on a temporary situation. So even after that, and after I was released, I had 2 miscarriages, my business, had filed bankruptcy, and I had to start all over again. But the one thing that I had was my mindset. And I knew that if I changed my mindset and I looked more on my goals versus my problems, then I could accomplish anything. And it's so funny because oftentimes women, we're in a mental prison that we placed ourselves in. Oh, I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. Oh, I can't do it. And so I like to inspire women to just tell my story and say, listen, everybody's going through something. Everybody has a story. But if you surround yourself with positive people, if you do the work, like you work with your clients on doing, you can accomplish your goals. And in the midst of my worst trial is when I found my purpose.
I'm not surprised. And as you say, there's a lot of parallels. I love the fact that you're talking about not concentrating on the fear, but keeping the vision in mind. That's exactly what has brought me where I am today. I also love the fact that you're referring to the fact that our choices have led us where we are today. But most of the time we don't make conscious choices. So there's a lot in common. I really love all of that. But let's rewind.
Yes, let's rewind. I just kind of threw it out there at you.
Now, because I really want the listeners to understand, as you mentioned, life stands in the way. It does for every single one of us, and it will again. That's just what life is about. And so staying in that mental prison also of thinking that it's not possible to get out of it is really a starting point. So, but how do you get from being in a place where everything goes wrong to making it happen? The name of the show. How have you done it?
Well, I think it's a couple of different things. Number one is I realized that there are always going to be peaks and valleys in your life. I think so many times we expect life, marriage, business to always be good. And so I had to come to a point and understand that it's going to be peaks and valleys. If I'm in a valley, that's a good place to be, because eventually it's going to turn around and I'm going to be at a peak. If I'm at a peak, good, let me enjoy it while I'm there, but also know that a valley is going to come. So I think what I had to do is, number one, is I said that I cannot stay stuck in a pity party. woe, it's me. Why am I, married for 4 months and I'm getting ready to go away for prisons for my husband? Why was I in a 10-year relationship, that was abusive, and it led me to this situation? I had to first just decide that I wasn't going to have a pity party, that I was going to look at all the lessons that I need to learn. I remember when I went to counseling after I had gotten out the relationship, the counselor said something so profound. She said, we're going to spend this first session talking about your ex. And then after that, every other session is we're going to figure out why you didn't have boundaries, why you allowed yourself to be treated that way. And you've got to understand that you're not a victim, because you cannot be a victim and victorious at the same time.
Oh, fabulous.
So number one is I had to say that this is not a pity party. It's not woe is me. I made bad decisions that landed me in this situation. So what do I need to learn so I won't make these same decisions again? So that was number one.
And then, I made, oh, sorry, I did exactly the same. Instead of looking at I'm a victim and blaming him and etc., I went into looking inside. Why have I accepted to be in that situation? What needs was it answering, etc.? So I really started looking and completely at the whole patterns that had unfolded in the course of my life. And there has been a before and after, to the extent even that today I'm grateful that I had that relationship, because without it, I wouldn't be who I am today.
You better say it, because that's exactly how I felt. Like, of course, my family, they were just upset at everything that had happened. But for me, I said, that was my path. That was the path. And God had told me long before, this is not who you need to be with. You need to get out. You need to do something different. And I chose not to. So these were the consequences for my actions. But I really just had to look at it and say that this is my life. These are the lessons that I need to learn. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Absolutely. This is great. So when you came out of prison, did you already had a business?
Well, actually, I had a business, or we had several businesses prior to. My ex and I had started 3 different companies. One was technology, one was a communications company, and one was a marketing company. But when everything started happening legally, the companies had to file bankruptcy, and basically I lost everything. So when I came back out, I had to restart. So I started at $8 an hour, and I had to work my way up.
I know the feeling. I had that as well. I don't know in pounds how much it would have been, but very, very close to that. So when you, at what point did you choose to start helping women? What led you to that?
And you know what's funny?
Women, it's not women only, huh, by the way. Mm-hmm. You do men and women.
I do. And what happened was I didn't choose it. It chose me. I kept running away from my calling. So when you were saying that you were in leadership, I was in business. I was doing strategy development for clients, for corporations, leadership training, executive coaching, very similar to you. And it was not what I was supposed to be doing. And I knew I was supposed to make a shift. But when I went from $8 an hour, then I built a successful business again. I said, God, I don't want to do this because I don't know how to make money coaching. Like, how do you do that? Who's going to pay for it? Yeah. And so I walked away from that with no income. I just knew I wasn't supposed to be doing it. And again, I had to build it from scratch. So it was really God just continuing to pull at me and bring women in my life that were experiencing similar things that I had, and he was having me to share to them. So it just fell on me. And I knew at a certain point that this is what I was supposed to do. And if I didn't do it, I was going to block all of my blessings.
Oh my God, it's so similar to what I experienced. Incredible, incredible. So talking about fear, because it's a very scary decision. I told you, I mentioned earlier on, I will always remember that day where I picked up my phone. I was just in the process of renegotiating a new contract with a very big client of mine. And I just decided that no, I didn't want to work with the corporate world as an executive coach anymore. And I picked up my phone and said, sorry, I'm no longer working with the corporate world. Very scary. I was panicked at the time. But when I hung up, it felt so incredibly good.
Mm-hmm. It did. And I think for me, I was being, even though I was telling women to be authentic, I was being very inauthentic because I'm telling people to follow their dreams and passions, listen to what God is telling them to do and to be obedient. And I'm not doing that same thing. And so it was scary because when I left the clients that I had, but I just said, I cannot continue to not be happy. Mm. And I just had to trust and believe God that if I was going to do what I was supposed to do, that the money would come. And it didn't come immediately. So like when you were saying January, no income, February, no income, March, no income, I was like, oh, I can agree. And I even got to the point where I wanted to go back. I had started, contacting clients again, and the doors just closed. Like before I was able to get contracts, I could not get one contract. And so it forced me to stay in that lane.
Yeah, very interesting. When I arrived in London, for the same reason, there was no money. I turned to corporate. I also had a lot of people who were opening doors here in the corporate world. And the very, very first appointment I went to, I felt physically sick, completely sick. And I stepped out of the appointment and I said, no,
you can't do it.
Possible. This is not possible.
Okay, I'm sorry. Normally he does not come in when I'm on the call. I'm so sorry. Jalen.
Oh, he's listening.
Okay. I'm so sorry. He normally never comes in when I'm on a call.
Don't worry. That happens. Can happen. I mean, it didn't happen often, but we'll see.
Okay. So were the doors opening for you? So you had the first corporate client. Did you get a contract or what happened?
No. I could not even, when I stepped out of the appointment, I immediately knew that I didn't want that. So again, the same, I had made a decision, and then when I was in need for money, because I had meanwhile moved to London, I thought, okay, that would bring in money. Let's go to corporate again. And I couldn't. I couldn't. I was physically, I felt, how do you call it in English? Nausea. I felt like throwing over. I felt so sick.
You just knew in your intuition, or you just knew like the energy, it just was not what you were supposed to do?
It was not. No, it was impossible. And so I preferred not to go there. I knew it wasn't good for me, and then start by making no money and just continue focus on the vision and don't let fear paralyze me. So, which leads me back to the question: how did you handle fear?
Okay, and so the first thing I did was I was taught when I was brought up that fear and faith cannot reside in the same place. Like if you have faith, then you cannot have fear. But then as I got older and I started studying more spiritually, and I was just looking at different spiritual practices, what I understood was whenever you're doing something new, whenever you're doing something uncomfortable, you are going to have fear. Just period. Even if you have faith, even if you believe in a higher power, you're going to have fear. So I just had to embrace it and say, just because I am fearful of something, that doesn't mean I don't have faith, that I don't believe in God. It's just scary. And so I embraced it. And I just said, even if I have fear, I'm going to step out and do it anyway. And most of the time, if I was fearful about something, it was because I didn't have enough information. So I started saying, for me, fear, I reframed the way I thought about it. And I said, fear for me is going to mean face everything and rise. So that means whenever that fear comes in, I'm going to ask myself, why am I afraid? Why am I afraid? Why am I afraid? I ask myself that 5 times. And by the time I get to the 5th time, I have the root of what the fear is. Most of us, we have fear that comes up and we just, oh my God, we get in panic. But fear is there to let you know something's wrong. Maybe you need to investigate it. So fear, I started accepting it as a positive emotion. And then I just started doing a little bit more research to find out why.
It almost became a tool for you.
It became a tool. And so whenever, so with the stepping out and doing what I knew I was supposed to do, number one, I was fearful because I didn't think I knew enough. I was like, I am going through issues in my own life, and now you want me to coach somebody else and tell them what to do? And so what I started to understand is that I don't have to go from 0 to 100. If I'm at level 5, then I teach people that are at level 2 or 3. So I can coach and work with people that I'm just a few steps ahead.
Absolutely.
And then as I grow, I can teach more. So that was number one. I was like, I don't think I'm worthy to teach people. Number two, it was the finances. I was like, oh my gosh, how am I going to make money doing this? And so then I started researching, and I got my certification as a coach, and I came up with a business plan for this. And so that alleviated some of the fear.
Yeah.
And so I think it has to be where you get the knowledge, you get the information, and you just lean into fear. You jump into fear. You just get in and do it. I'm going to do it afraid. And so
I think that one thing that a lot of women in business also do is that they tend to compare themselves to others, and others will in appearance have it all, but we don't know what the behind of the scene is anyway. I mean, they also are experiencing stuff one way or the other. So I think that it's a matter of as you mentioned, of being authentic, of finding what works for you. It doesn't matter if it works or not for others. If it works for you, that's fine. Yeah.
And I think a lot of times we see people at the finished stage. We don't see the process. So I remember when I went to a conference, and one of the coaches, I appreciated her because she was so transparent. She said, you see me 8 years into my business. I did not look like this at year 1, year 2, year 3. She said, even at year 5, this is where I have evolved.
Very good point.
So you cannot compare yourself to what somebody else is doing, because they don't have the same story you have. They don't have the same struggle that you have. So you got to get in your own lane and be okay with it, and stop wanting to be somebody else or have what somebody else has.
And overnight success is never overnight success,
Yeah.
Even if it
took
10
years. 10 years.
Exactly. No, I'm fully with you. So today, if you were to give advice to a woman, given this is a show for women, that would want to get started, has her idea, but is afraid to do so, what would you say are the first steps that she should take?
I would say, number one, you have to know who you are. So y'all just heard some little background music come in. That was my son, so please excuse it. But you have to know who you are, and you have to know kind of what season you're in. So I think you have a lot of women that are trying to do things, and it's out of season. So a lot of people, they're trying to reap things and they've not even sowed. So you got to, number one, understand what season of life you're in. And so if you want to start a business, if you want to get married, if you want to strengthen your marriage, or whatever the case is, you got to understand what your goal is or what your vision is. What do you ultimately want to have? So I think that's number one. So once you have the vision, and once you have the goal, well, not even the goal, once you have the vision, then when times get difficult, then your vision will continue to pull you, because life is going to happen every day. So as you see with the video, my son's at home with me sick, him coming in, that's not a part of it. This is supposed to be smooth sailing, but life happens. So if you have that vision of what you want, it's going to pull you. So that's number one, vision. Number two, I think that you have to do a true assessment to understand if you're willing to do what it takes to reach that vision. Because 10 times out of 10, you're going to have to change something about you. You're going to have to do some a self-evaluation, because you're going to have to make changes. Because if you have a big vision, you've got to change to be able to do it. Number three, educate yourself on doing whatever it needs to take to get you, gain more knowledge, and change your mindset. And then number four is surround yourself with positive people that have been where you are. Because I think with women, men, they're different. They can be an island amongst themselves, process everything in their mind. Women, we're so relationship. We talk things out. And so you got to be in relationship with somebody that can help you get to where you need to be, that can hold you accountable. When you're ready to quit, they're going to pick you up.
Yeah, very, very sound advice. Definitely. I think that this notion also of daring asking for support. So having them is one thing, but if they're around you and you're not reaching out when you need them, women most of the time are absolutely so willing to help each other.
Exactly. And I think, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
And I was going to say, I think what happens most of the time, probably the people that you work with and coach, and me too, they're the ones that are supporting everybody. They're pouring into everybody. They're giving ideas, but it's when it's their time, everybody thinks that they have it all together, that they don't need any help. So most times we don't have anybody. Even though we have people around us, it's not somebody that we go to and we ask for help. We just don't do that because people think that we're strong and we have it all together, right? So I think number one, you have to get with other women that it's going to be a mutually beneficial relationship, and you're just not the one that's pouring all the time.
That's exactly what made the difference for me, because I was, well, exactly as you are describing, always helping others, never asked for help myself, to the point that when I had problems and I would talk about it, people would be so surprised, because how can I have problems, you know?
You have it all together.
But the thing is that when I said, ladies, I need you, I need help, this is what is happening, it's just incredible, the flow of help that started coming my way, and it made all the difference. It's really...
I think you said it though, you have to be okay with asking for help and know that that doesn't make you look weak. That doesn't make you less of a woman. It actually makes you stronger, because you understand that you can't do it all by yourself.
Absolutely. And it makes a human, not a robot.
Right. And I think what happens is we're so used to being a robot, meaning I got to get up, got to get the kids, got to make sure everybody's taken care of, got to do work, got to do business, got to do laundry, got to this, got to that. Boom, 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 boom. So we're just used to doing it. We just pile it on. And then a lot of times things around us will collapse.
Yep.
And then we have to learn how to ask for help. Because most of us won't ask even if we need it.
No, absolutely. I'm getting conscious of time. Tell us more about who you work with today.
Okay, so I actually, like you, I work with women entrepreneurs that are looking to build a profitable business while rekindling the fire in their marriage and raising healthy kids. So my clients normally have school-age children. They're trying to grow a business and keep the marriage and just hold it all together. So you can find out more information about me at treneesmith.com and at Coach T. Renee.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Any piece of advice you would give, some, final 2-3 tips that you would give to anyone?
Well, number one, I would say embrace your authentic self wherever that is. Be okay with whatever season of life that you're in. So as y'all see, my season of life is a mother, it's a business owner, but I still have to embrace it. Like I see so many women that are trying to bypass seasons. They're trying to, let's get these kids out to college so I can really grow a business, or, my husband is sick, let me get him taken care of. So I think that is like you living in the future.
Yeah.
You got to embrace where you are right now and embrace that season and be authentic about it. Number 2 is surround yourself with other positive women that are willing to collaborate with you and not compete. And that simply means that they're so confident in who they are. They're so confident in what they can do that there's no reason for them to compete against you. They want to lift you up. And number 3, 2 more. Number 3 is establish a spiritual practice. That includes meditation, affirmations, visualization, prayer, yoga, whatever it is that you need.
Gratitude.
Right. Because we're so busy that our mind is always racing. And oftentimes our higher power or God is trying to talk to us and we just don't hear it. And then number 4 is surround yourself with positive women, positive people, period.
Thank you so much. So aligned with what I believe in myself.
You were talking and I was like, say it, sister, say it.
Thank you so much. So it really was a pleasure having you, and definitely that's a type of interview that could continue for hours, but unfortunately we don't have that time. So for those of the viewers and listeners, if you too want to step into the driver's seat of your life to reinvent it, because it's never too late, you can book a discovery consultation with me by going to my website, and that is www.agnesvanrhijn.com. That is ANYESVANRHIJN.com. Thank you very much, and see you in the next interview. Bye.